What if you could get 16 hours back every single week? Not by hiring someone, but by getting software to do the repetitive work for you. I'm going to show you a workflow that uses the same technology used by some of the biggest haulage and fleet operators in the world. Systems exactly like this are processing thousands of orders right now. Let me show you how it works. So, an email comes in with a PDF booking form attached. The system reads it, extracts all the order details, and then validates everything through 6 different checks. Based on that validation, it either auto-processes the order and sends a confirmation back to the customer, or it flags it for a quick 30-second review, or it marks it for full manual handling. From email to order processed, it takes 15 seconds. I'm George, and for the last year, I've been building AI automation workflows specifically for UK haulage and fleet operators. And I'm going to break down exactly how this works, piece by piece. All right, now I've introduced myself, I'll introduce my co-host, who you can see sitting behind my right shoulder. B, you going to say hey to everyone? All right, let's continue. So, before I hop into the workflow, let me paint a picture here. Monday morning rolls around, you open your inbox, and there are 40-something new emails sitting in there, all with booking forms attached. So you download the first PDF, open your TMS or Excel or whatever system you use, and then you manually type in the collection address, the delivery address, the date, the time, the customer reference, the job number, the price. And then you do it again for the next order and again 40 times. And by 2 p.m. you're exhausted, you've got the phone ringing, drivers waiting for jobs, and that Friday invoice is probably still not sent. So look, you're probably actually good at the haulage part. You get trucks where they need to be, you manage drivers, you keep customers happy. But the admin, that's not where you make money. That's the cost of doing business. That's the tax you pay just to keep the wheels turning. And that's exactly what this workflow eliminates. So if you want to find out how to get rid of that admin work, keep watching. Okay, so before I show you the actual software, which can look like a bit of a mess of arrows and boxes if you're not familiar with it, let me first whiteboard out this logic. Because here's the thing. Automation isn't magic, it's just a set of instructions, step by step, like following a recipe. And really, all this system is doing is following the exact same steps that your admin staff do. It's just doing it at lightning speed and without ever getting tired or making typos at 4 p.m. on a Friday. So without further ado, let's get into this. Step 1 of the workflow is when an email arrives with a booking form attached. The system is watching your inbox and it's set to grab any emails from specific customers or emails with PDF attachments. Whichever filters you want to set, we can set them. So you can think of it like a receptionist who's been told, an email that we get from client A, bring it straight to me. After the email arrives, we move to step 2, which is where we extract the text from the PDF. Now, you might be thinking, George, what if the PDF scanned? What if someone took a photo of the booking form on their phone? That can be handled too. This system uses OCR, optical character recognition, which is basically software that can look at an image and read the text in it. It's the same technology that lets you scan a receipt and turn it into text that you can copy and paste. I've tested this with absolute rubbish PDFs. Photos at an angle, scanned documents that are blurry, booking forms that are sideways, and even my own handwriting. The OCR pulls out the text and then passes it to the next step. Step 3 in the workflow is where AI reads the booking form exactly like you would. You know how when you look at a booking form, your brain just knows what's what. You see 10 a.m. and you know that's a collection time. You see Wrexham Eastbourne and you know that's a delivery address. That's called pattern recognition, and AI does the exact same thing. It's been trained on millions of documents, so when you give it a booking form, it recognizes the patterns. It knows what a time looks like, what an address looks like, and what a price looks like, and it pulls everything out in a structured format. But here's the key. We don't just blindly trust what the AI extracted, because AI makes mistakes just like people do. So we built what's called a knowledge base. Think of it like training a new admin person. When you hire someone, you don't just throw them at a pile of emails, you train them. You give them the customer lists, you explain who the regulars are, you show them the usual delivery addresses, and it's the same thing here. The knowledge base contains your customer lists, your past orders, usual addresses, everything your experienced staff just know off the top of their head. Then we run this data through 6 different validation checks. These checks are designed to ensure that we know the information that we process at the end is correct. The first check we do is, do we know this customer? Is this someone that we work with regularly? The second check is, do we recognize this delivery address? Have we delivered there before? The third check is, did we get all the information we need? Or are we missing any critical bits like the delivery time or the job number or number of pallets? The fourth check is for any vague language in the email. Stuff like usual address or ASAP, phrases that you need to clarify what they actually mean. Check 5 is, does this pass basic logic tests? Things like, is the delivery date in the future? Is the price reasonable? And are the collection and delivery locations different? And the sixth and final check is how confident the AI is itself that it got everything right. Once we've done all 6 checks, we combine all of them into one overall confidence score. You can think of this like when you're vetting a new customer. You don't just look at one thing, you check their credit, you check if they've worked with other hauliers, you look at the order details and see if they make sense. And in your head, you're weighing all that information. So the credit check is important, so that carries more weight. Someone vouching for them is good, but not as critical. And that's exactly what this confidence score does. It takes all 6 signals, weighs them by their importance, and then gives you one number. Then, based on that score, we route it like a traffic light with green, yellow, and red. Green is for 90% confidence or higher. This is where everything looks perfect and the system auto-processes the order, updates your system, and sends a confirmation back to the customer. Done, and no human involved at all. Yellow is for 70 to 89% confidence, which is pretty good, but something minor got flagged. So the system sends you an email with all the details already extracted. All you have to do is glance at it, check if it looks right, and then approve it. Following this, the system picks back up where it left off and processes the order itself. This takes you about 30 seconds instead of 5 minutes of manual typing. And finally, we have red, which is below 70% confidence, where something critical is wrong. And here we need full manual review. So the system tells you what's missing or unclear, and then you handle the order in the normal manual way. After the order's been validated and approved, it needs to actually get into your system. There are basically 2 ways that we do this. The first option is through a direct connection, where the 2 systems talk to each other through what's called an API. You can think of this like a phone line between 2 computers. The workflow calls your system and says, here's an order, add it. And your system says, got it. Done. The second option, if your system doesn't have that kind of direct connection available, is where we can build what's essentially browser automation. Now, if you haven't heard of this before, it's like a mini robot that knows the exact process of adding an order to your system, which screens to open, which fields to fill, and which buttons to click. And it does it for you automatically once we've trained it to do so. Both give you the same result, it's just a different method of doing it. Then there's the final step, where the system either sends a confirmation email back to the customer automatically, or it drafts one for you to review and send yourself. So green orders get automatic confirmation, and yellow orders wait for you to approve them before sending. So that's the complete flow. Email in, AI extracts the data, checks it against your knowledge base, runs 6 different validation checks, and then routes it based on confidence, processing it into your system and sending a confirmation back to the customer. Now let's look at how this actually works in the software. All right, so this is NA10. And if you've never heard of NA10 before, it's an automation software. Think of it like your TMS, except it's for connecting any software together. Emails, spreadsheets, AI tools, databases, whatever you use. These boxes that you can see on screen are called nodes, and each one has a specific job. This one reads emails, this one extracts text from PDFs, and this one talks to AI. This one updates your spreadsheets, and you connect them together like plumbing pipes. Essentially, data flows from one to the next. The beginning of any workflow starts with what's called a trigger, and in this case, it's triggered when a new email arrives. So let's walk through what each section does step by step. So here we have section 1, the intake. This first node is a Gmail trigger, but it could be connecting to Outlook or any email provider that you use. And it's essentially watching your inbox for emails that match your filters. So that could be specific customers, specific subjects lines, PDFs attached, whatever rules you want to set, we can set them. From here, it hits the extract from PDF node. This is where the OCR happens. It pulls the text out of the PDF, even if it's scanned, even if it's a photo, and then passes the raw text to the next step. So let's move on to section 2, which is the extraction. So this node here is an AI agent. It's using a service that connects to the AI, and it reads the booking form using those pattern recognition skills that we talked about earlier. We give it very specific instructions. We say, you're processing order booking forms for a UK haulage company. Each row is a separate order. extract all the order details and give them back as structured data. It's like giving instructions to a new driver. You can't just say, deliver the load. You have to say, Eastbourne, arrive before 2 p.m, use loading bay 3 and ask for Dave. The same principle applies here. The more specific you are, the better the results. From here, the split out orders node takes that structured data and separates it into multiple separate orders so that each one can be processed individually. Now, I know in some cases you get an email from a customer and they say in the subject line, booking number 10473, and that's the only order that they actually want you to process right now. We can easily train the AI to handle that as well. It's very simple, which I could explain in a different video. But anyway, let's move on to section 3, which is the confidence scoring engine, which I've been through before. This is where those 6 validation signals come in, and each signal checks something very specific. I said this before, but we'll take you through it within the software now. So signal 1 checks if we know this customer. Signal 2 checks if we recognize the delivery address using fuzzy matching. This basically means it handles variations like Rexel Eastbourne versus Rexel-Eastbourne with extra spaces. This is really important because we know that sometimes a customer will type delivery addresses differently, and we need the AI to be able to pick up on those slight differences that occur. Moving on to signal 3, this is where it checks if all the critical fields are present. So for example, if the pallet count is missing, it's going to flag that and reduce the confidence at the end. Signal 4 scans for vague language that needs clarification. So for example, if they say deliver to the same address as last week, or something like that. Signal 5 runs very basic business logic checks, like looking at things like, is the date in the future? Is it a reasonable price? Are there different collection and delivery addresses? This kind of thing. Signal 6 looks at how confident the AI is itself. And don't worry, we adjust for overconfidence, which AI often is overconfident if you've used it before. So then you can see here in this node, we combine all 6 of those signals into a composite score that we talked about before. Moving on to section 4, this is the smart routing. So here, based on the score, we route to one of 3 paths. Green for auto processing, yellow for sending you a quick email and waits for your approval and then continues automatically, and finally red, where we flag this for manual handling by a member of your team. And section 5 is the processing. This is where the order actually gets entered into your system, either through a direct API connection or through browser automation that fills the forms just like a human would. And then finally, the confirmation email gets sent back to the customer, automatic for green, you approve it for yellow, and well, red, it needs to be done by somebody in your team. So that's the full workflow. Email trigger, PDF extraction, AI reads it, knowledge base check, 6 validations, smart routing, processing, and confirmation. The full end-to-end process that any admin team member would take, except done automatically. Okay, so now I need to talk about something really important. You might be thinking, George, what happens if this system auto-processes something that's wrong? This is a totally fair question, and you're right to ask it. We know that if it hit green, that means that the customer is known, the addresses are recognized, all the fields are present, no vague language was used, and all the validations were passed. At this point, the risk is basically 0, but here's how we make absolutely sure before going live. It's called shadow mode. When we first set up a system like this, we run it for 1 to 2 months where it processes every order, makes all its decisions, but doesn't actually do a thing. It doesn't send emails to customers. It doesn't update your system. It just logs what it would have done in an entirely separate place. Meanwhile, your staff are processing orders the normal way, completely unaware that the system is even running. Then we compare. We look at every single order and ask, did the system understand it correctly? Would the routing decision have been right? If it marked something green, would that have been safe to auto-process? And when we find cases where it got it wrong, we retrain the system. We adjust the overall confidence thresholds. We add those addresses to the knowledge base. We tune the validation rules. We do this for 1 or 2 months until the system is operating flawlessly. Ultimately, it needs to know when can it auto-process an order. It needs to be 100% sure and 100% accurate there, and it needs to know when is something required for human review. Only then do we actually turn on the automation itself. So by the time it's processing orders for real, it's already been tested on thousands of actual orders without you even knowing it was there. That's how we make sure that the 90% confidence threshold is genuinely reliable. All right, so let's talk about what this actually means for your business in real numbers, because that's what matters, right? So manual order entry takes 3 to 5 minutes. Let's just assume 5 minutes for this example. So So if you're processing 40 orders a day, that's 200 minutes, which is about 3.3 hours. Over a 5-day week, that's 16.5 hours. And over a full year, that's 858 hours. That's 107 full working days spent just typing. Now, this system handles about 80% of orders fully automatically, 15% with a quick review, and 5% still need full manual processing. So 80% automated saves 687 hours, 15 for quick review at about 1 minute each saves you about another 129 hours, and 5% still at manual processing is around 43 hours of work. So in total, that's 816 hours saved per year. And if you're the one doing the work, that's 816 hours that you get back to actually run your business, to chase new customers, to optimize routes, and to fix the stuff that's actually broken. And here's the knock-on effect that nobody is talking about. When you're not drowning in order entry, you respond to quotes faster. You catch problems before they become crises. You actually have the time to think about growing your business instead of just surviving the day-to-day. The value of that could be monumental. Okay, so to finish up, let's do a quick recap of what we've covered today and what this workflow does. So we have a Gmail trigger which pulls in emails. We have PDF extraction that handles the text. We have AI that reads that text and then extracts the order details. We have a knowledge base that gives the system context. And we have 6 validation signals that check everything. Then there's smart routing, where it sends to green, yellow, or red. We have processing, where the order is entered into your system automatically. And then we have a confirmation going back to the customer. And finally, shadow mode that tests everything for 1 to 2 months before anything goes live, so you can be confident and you can see, okay, does this actually work? We know that it takes 15 seconds for this system to process orders automatically. All this sounds amazing, right? And if you're watching this and thinking, I need this for my business, then you've got 2 paths forward. Path 1 is you reach out to someone who knows how to build this stuff. It could be me, it could be someone else. You can basically explain your operations, what booking forms you have, what they look like, where you lose your time, essentially. Then they can build it, test it in shadow mode, train the knowledge base, and hand it over. You don't have to touch any 10 or any automation software. You don't write any code. It's the turnkey solution. If you do want to reach out to me to learn more, then my details are in the description. I'm happy to talk to any haulage business owners. The second path is that you learn this yourself. And I won't lie, there is a learning curve. NA10 and workflow automation isn't like Excel where you just click around and figure stuff out. But it's also not programming. You're just connecting boxes and telling each box what you want it to do. And if you're the kind of person who likes to understand how things work, then I'm going to be breaking down more of these workflows in 2026. Step by step, showing you exactly how they work and what's possible. Actually, let me know in the comments, would you want to see me build this live so that you could follow along and do it yourself too? We could do it from start to finish, every single node, explaining what I'm doing and why. Comment yes if you want to see that. Here's the really important thing to take away from this video. Someone in your industry is going to figure this out. Maybe it's you, or maybe it's your competitor down the road. And whoever figures this out first is going to have a serious advantage. Because while everyone else is spending 16 hours a week typing orders into spreadsheets, others are out there winning contracts and growing their businesses. If you want to see more breakdowns like this, showing how automation could actually work in haulage and fleet businesses, what's possible and what the ROI looks like, then hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. I can't wait. Have a good day. Say bye, Beanie. She's sleeping.